Hello my beautiful dumplings, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Now on this channel recently, I fully understand, we've been speaking about a lot of serious and depressing topics, from James Charles's ventures to high schools, to James Charles's inevitable venture to prisons. It's been a little bit depressing. But in today's video, we are indeed going to throw it back. And not like that, I have actually gained a lot of weight during lockdown, so if you're here for that, no, nobody needs to see that. Today we're actually going to be speaking about a channel that I have spoken quite a lot about in the past. And yes, indeed, it is a good old classic on this channel, and it is Girl Defined. Now, if you've personally been blessed of never hearing about Girl Defined, I will summarise them for you. Take this film right here, Midsummer, a horror film that came out in the last few years, which to me made absolutely no sense. Now, that's not a critique of the film, I just have no brain cells. But take this film and then put a YouTube edition that's slightly more boring and maybe overall a little bit more concerning.
Hey sisters! It's Bethany and Kirsten with Girl Defined Industries, and I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but like, have you ever felt like you just really wished someone would personally pour into your life? Like, care about the struggles that you're going through, care about helping you grow as an individual, care about helping you have a stronger, closer relationship with God, to pray with you and to follow up with you on a weekly basis and say, hey, how are you doing? How can I pray for you? Are you moving towards? And it's a closer to Christ through this. If you've ever felt that way, I have some really exciting news for you. I, along with you, have created a mentorship course that basically offers you all of those things.
Private membership course. We all know where that goes. Well, actually, I don't. If somebody could check that out, that would be wonderful, because personally, don't know what that is, and I'd rather stay away from that, to be honest with you. But no, that's not what we're going to be speaking about today. Girl Defined actually recently released a video called How to Not Get Caught Up in Cancel Culture. Yes, today we are going to be speaking about the cursed subject and topic of cancel culture, and I am going to actually give my overall opinion on the whole topic of cancel culture, and it's going to be like a long answer, because I feel like the thing is with cancel culture, it's something that a lot of people like to tackle with one answer. But personally for me, I see cancel culture and I think this is something which is very situational based, a very subjective thing. Cancel culture can be applied to numerous different situations in numerous different ways, and we will get onto that in the future of this video. Now I am going to ask you, hey, could you please subscribe, because I'm trying to regrow the channel again. I took a month off and I absolutely regret it. My own fault. The channel is pretty mudded right now, so if you could like this video and you could subscribe, that would be absolutely amazing. I may seem like a really annoying person, but I promise you it's a nice little community we've got over it, and I would really appreciate it. But okay, I've made, understandably, quite a few videos on Girl Defined, one or two, as have a lot of other creators out there. Now, if you genuinely have never heard of them before, they've mainly been criticized in the past for a lot of their backwards beliefs, a lot of their beliefs towards women, and kind of seemingly trying to control how women act, or how women should act. Now, I'm not going to do a back catalogue into everything they've done. I have these videos right here. If you want to go and watch them and then come back to it, I would completely understand that. But to give you a little broad understanding on what the general consensus of Girl Defined is, I'm going to ask you guys to make a comment right now. If you believe that Girl Defined aren't exactly, you know, they're not that great, just comment beans below. But if you think Girl Defined are good, in the rare crowd of 0.1% people, comment no. And from this wonderful, beautiful comment section, you can most likely take a consensus of what people think about Girl Defined. So what I want to do is break down this video where they've spoken about cancel culture, where they've spoken about the backlash given towards them, and in my opinion, this is basically like an inadvertent response to me, Cody Ko, and all the other creators that have made videos on them, because I understand that my content can be received as cancel culture. I don't personally believe it to be that, and I will abbreviate on that later in this video, but I can see why some people on an outside would have that perspective, despite I defend a lot of people, and I feel like I'm quite open and honest with my answers, and I don't really try to always jump on a bandwagon. for the most part. If they're a nonce, it's a little bit different. And yes, with this response, as you can imagine, I'm gonna try and be nice. I am. I know. I'm not the nice. I'm lovely, but I'm going to try and remain neutral. But this response does. It does stink of piss.
I kind of think of like everyone trying to be someone else's superior. I'm going to hold you accountable to my own opinions and standards. I kind of think of like a deadly game because soon you're going to be that person that's on the wrong side of history.
Now, personally, I would like to know what being on the wrong side of history actually means, because from my subjective viewpoint, I hear somebody saying, yeah, you're on the wrong side of history. I usually think that the person who is on the wrong side of history, from a popular standpoint in the progressive society that we are in, I would usually see that person on the wrong side as somebody who probably isn't the best of people, if that's the right word to use. In the modern times, being on socially perceived sides as the right side of history, in my opinion, when it comes to social media like Twitter, Instagram and TikTok, when it comes to this nature of the culture that we live in, I think online specifically, there is this very progressive culture, and I think if you're on the right side of that, that's usually a good thing. That's usually you standing up for things like LGBT rights and civil rights. I think usually being on the right side is typically a good thing. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting at this point of time that these guys aren't on this side of history. We're going to allow them to, continue explaining their points and see where we can conclude this video up to.
What's up, sisterhood? Thanks for hanging out with us today. I don't know if you've heard, but we are literally doing the biggest giveaway we have ever done over here at Girl.
What? You've removed the intro? What? That's the only part about your videos that I like. What's the point of me making this video if there's no well-defined musical intro? What's the point? What's the end goal here? I don't know. I don't know if I want to continue making this video now.
That's what we want to talk about, because I think of a lot of us blindly follow the crowd and we're just like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to say and do. That's what I'm supposed to be against. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to be for. Okay. And then we just start speaking our thoughts, but it's really based off of what is currently like the hot issue of the day. And we want to be accepted. We want to fit in. We want to be liked. So we just blindly go with the crowd, and we're not actually truly thinking as Christian girls.
Okay, no, actually, I was wrong. I'm very much good to go. Apologies about that breakdown. Let's continue. Now, the first 2 minutes of this video, it really gives some evidence and suggestion that there is actually some Midsummer level shit going on with this, I guess, community.
We're literally giving away 3 all-inclusive tickets from flying you in 3 of our sisterhood friends along with your besties, so 6 girls total flying
into Sweden. We'll take you out to the fields, and then we'll go to our nice little dinner place where you can meet the entire community, and then after that we'll go to the mountains and we'll see some funky cliff diving, and then most importantly, after that we'll take your friends away and do the final ceremony. I have to say that they didn't actually say that, because they might sue me if I don't say this, so, yeah. It is a bit concerning, though. That's actually the first 3 minutes of the entire video, them advertising, I guess, something that they're going to do with their fans, and I don't care. Just get to the cancel culture bit, please. That's the only reason I'm here.
So I was actually listening to a podcast, and they would read like a phrase and then they would get the response, like, what do you think when you hear this? So we're talking about cancel culture, so I'm going to say the phrase, which is, when you hear the words cancel culture, what comes to mind?
Cancel culture. Cancel culture, I think of people getting canceled for having opinions that aren't in line with the political movements of the day.
Okay, fair enough. I do actually think that's actually a pretty fair analysis and definition of what cancel culture kind of is, if you really narrow it down and generalize it into one thing. That's not a criticism. I think that's what it is, and I think by the movements for what she's talking about, I think they mean things like LGBT rights, Black Lives Matter, and in general, equality. And yeah, if you're not in the belief that LGBT people, for example, shouldn't be persecuted for merely being a human being and being who they are publicly, I feel like that's a little bit questionable. I feel like I don't want to be friends with you if you are somebody that is in support of the persecution of trans and gay people for merely just being open with who they are, merely just being themselves as a human being. I feel like if you're against that, that's extremely questionable. And yes, if people don't want to be friends with you, if people don't want to work with you because of that, I think that's completely fine. And now I'm not saying that these people are that, I'm just stating the points based on what they were talking about when it comes to political movements and aligning with them. So let's continue and see what they have to say about this.
Okay, when you hear the word cancel culture, what do you think of?
I kind of think of like everyone trying to be someone else's superior person, like telling them like, hey, you no longer match what I think is politically correct or right, and so I'm going to hold you accountable to my own opinions and standards. And I kind of think of like a deadly game, because soon you're going to be that person that's on the wrong side of history, which we already see left and right.
I mean, my question is what are your political standards and opinions? Because based on what you say in your videos, you base your standards based on political correctness from 100 years ago. Because that's the thing with a lot of people that complain about political correctness, they are actually basing their ideas and opinions based on what political correctness was when they were younger and growing up. That's what confuses me about a lot of people that complain about these things, because they are also politically correct just based on the times of when they were growing up, or in the area of the people that they grew up with, their political standards. I genuinely get a little bit confused by this, because every single person has different beliefs, and when it comes to political correctness, I feel like that's a broad term for saying, hey, you should be able to be gay and be free and you know, live your life and express yourself. I think that's a really weird thing to be against. I know they haven't exactly said that, but a lot of the time when it comes to political correctness, it does just seem people are upset at progressive movements, and I personally don't understand why, when you are basing your own opinions based on your own political correctness from when you grew up. Because the fact of the matter is that it would have been considered politically correct not so long ago in the 1960s, for example, to believe that people of colour, LGBT people, should not exist and should not have rights. That is something that people used to believe as some form of standard, and people fought against those standards with modern day political correctness and progressive movements. Why is that so hard to understand? I don't understand why people see that as bad. You can't conflate that with cancel culture. And now again, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Girl Defined followed those terrible standards that were set in the 1960s and previously, but what I am saying is that it is very clear, based on the videos, based on what they're saying about progressive movements and how you can accidentally be caught on the wrong side of history, is that they seem to be a little bit annoyed at progressive movements which are dominated by the left. I can only take that assumption based on this video and based on the future things that they say in this video. And also, I am pretty sure that they think that people like me and Cody Ko are bullies, because the first reaction they have when they get asked what their opinion on cancel culture is bullies.
And you hear the words cancel culture, what comes to mind? So you have to say,
okay, bullies.
And then like, bullies.
Now, I'm pretty sure that they are referencing to the people that make videos on them, me, Cody Ko, Noel Miller, and look, you can call us bullies, you can call us bullies all you want, but to be honest with you, I feel like threatening people with the day of reckoning is probably a little bit worse than Cody Ko saying, haha, your video's cringe.
Those people who have held the standard and said, this is what you have to live to, one day they will bow the knee and they will know that Jesus is Lord. And talk about true accountability at that point. Like, it doesn't matter what you think about God, that day of reckoning is coming.
Whoa!
Yeah, for some reason, I think saying to a 14-year-old on the internet who wants to get accountability because somebody said something they don't like, that the day of reckoning is coming, is a little bit intense. I'm not threatening anybody I don't like with the day of reckoning. I'm just here saying that your videos are a little bit cringe. Do I believe me or Cody Ko bully these channels? No. I believe that it's poking fun, and overall, we're just giving our counter opinions to their opinions. If you put yourself on the internet, you are opening yourself up for criticism, especially on YouTube, where you've got yourself a massive platform. Cody Ko, for the millionth time, is not a bully. I don't think I'm a bully. In fact, I think I'm quite kind.
But I think one thing we can all agree on, no matter where you're coming from with this topic, is that cancel culture is a thing. You might not call it cancel culture. You might have your own definition of what you think it means. But I think as we look out, we are seeing voices, organizations, people being silenced because they have a view that other people don't think is right. And so they say, sorry, we're not gonna link arms with you anymore. We're not gonna partner with you. You are done. And it's easy for us as people to want to jump on those bandwagons, right? Because you feel like, well, I want to be on the right side of history. I want to be with the in crowd. I want to be on this tidal wave, not the one getting the wave crashed on. So I'm going to jump on board. And it's very tempting. So we have people coming from both sides, those who are doing the canceling, those who are getting canceling. There's just a lot of perspectives.
Now, this is something that's been confusing me, frankly, quite a lot recently. It seems to be a belief now that it's only a new thing that if you choose to disassociate with somebody who you have extremely differing opinions with, that's only a new thing, that people have only started to separate themselves from people who have different opinions to them. I want to give a little newsflash. That's been something that's been going on since the beginning of time. Wars have been fought over differing opinions. Every single war, every single argument is usually over a differing opinion. It's not new for a human being to see somebody doesn't align with their opinions and to disassociate with them. Your entire channel is based on pretty much disassociating with people that don't live their lives the way you expect them to. So what is the difference here? You are contributing to cancel culture, but just in your own way. And yes, that might not be your opinion or belief of what cancel culture is, but by you having your own mandate of how to live life and you believing that you should tell people how to live their life, you are only contributing to the exact same thing that you are complaining about. Personally, if I knew somebody didn't agree that LGBT people should have rights, I'm probably not going to be friends with them. And no, I'm not going to be friends with them. There's not a probably there. I am not. And that's not a snide thing. That's me choosing to not be friends with somebody who I believe has harmful beliefs towards my friends, my family, me. Because yes, I am bisexual. I've said it a million times, but I don't want to be friends with somebody who doesn't think that I or many others should have rights. Now, I'm not saying that these guys have those viewpoints, but based on what they're saying when it comes to political progressive movements, I can really only take into the interpretation that they are talking about LGBT rights movements and Black Lives Matter. That's what I can take, because there really is no other tidal wave of movements, and they very much acknowledge that right here.
It is true, and it doesn't matter if you're like, well, I just have TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and like I see something and I just go and comment on it. Like, that's what we want to talk about, because I think of a lot of us blindly follow the crowd and we're just like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to say and do. That's what I'm supposed to be against. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to be for. Okay. And then we just start speaking our thoughts, but it's really based off of what is currently like the hot issue of the day. And we want to be accepted. We want to fit in. We want to be liked. So we just blindly go with the crowd, and we're not actually truly thinking as Christian girls what we should be standing for, who we should be living for. And so this is a calling truly to Christian girls, because we have a different like rule, a different book, a different guide.
We have a different authority, a different voice that we are accountable to.
So they are doing something here which I spoke about in my previous videos, of where influencers speak about controversial topics without actually saying what these topics are to avoid any forms of criticism. But based on the fact that they mentioned a massive tidal wave, I'm pretty sure that they are talking about progressive politics here. So I think at this point we need to talk about my opinion of what I actually believe cancel culture is, and if it is actually a good thing. And I think this all does come down to, as I said earlier, a very subjective viewpoint. Do I think cancel culture is bad? I think it's based on the situation. For an example, if James Charles was cancelled for speaking to multiple underage boys, yes, I think he should be cancelled for that. I don't think cancel culture should avoid talking about nonsense. I think that cancel culture should very much be applied to situations like that. But another subjective and situational example of cancel culture is if somebody had their life genuinely ruined for a joke they made 8 years ago. For an example, if they made a terrible joke in like 2012, somebody found that, went to their workplace, got them fired, and they can no longer pay rent, I think that's a bad thing. I don't think that's you trying to get accountability from somebody. I think that is you weaponizing cancel culture. You see what I mean here? I think it's very subjective and situational. I think a lot of people are very reactionary to when they speak about cancel culture. I think it's very easy to say it's a bad thing. But also, I think if you are just trying to weaponize it, if you are trying to take, I hate this word, with a burning passion, wokeness, and use that to ruin somebody's life, you're not helping anyone. If anything, you are damaging progressive movements, because by you weaponizing it and taking absolutely everything, even the slightest terrible joke, and making somebody's life be completely ruined, nobody's going to take these things serious. People are going to see progressive movements and laugh, because they know for a fact that there are these idiots attached to it that try to literally make somebody want to jump off a cliff because they made a bad joke 9 years ago. But again, it can come back to where somebody is actually harming people in positions of power that abuse that position to, do what James Charles did. In that situation, I think cancel culture is very much a good thing. I think the problem with the people that support cancel culture is that sometimes they go extremely overboard, and as I said, it can damage a movement or a belief. But then again, I think the problem that people who are against cancel culture have is that they will see anybody actually being called out correctly for something terrible that they have done and said, oh, cancel culture is at it again, when in reality, somebody is genuinely being called up on their bullshit and they are facing the consequences of their actions. Because it's very easy to say, oh, I'm being cancelled, when in reality, you've still got your job, you're still living, you've still got your friends, just a few people on the internet said that you suck. I think as a community, we really need to separate cancel culture and criticism. I think cancel culture should only be used when somebody has truly done something awful, and then criticism can just be, hey, I don't think that you said the right thing there. That thing you said was terrible, and this is why. And also, if you want to disassociate from somebody, if you want to unfollow somebody because you didn't like what they said in the past or in the present, that is completely fine. That's not cancel culture. That's people who may be disappointed and they choose to leave, and that is completely understandable. So yes, to give my conclusive opinion on what I think cancel culture is, I think it is a very subjective and situational based thing. I think if somebody is genuinely trying to harm somebody or hurt somebody, yes, cancel culture is probably needed. But if you are trying to weaponize it, take advantage of progressive movements to just hurt somebody that you don't like based on something which really isn't that bad, you are the problem. You are the reason that a lot of people do not take certain progressive movements seriously. So yes, I think it overall probably has helped, but at the same time, I think it also has done a lot of negative things. So when it comes to girl defined cancel culture, I feel like they're very much stuck in the past and also complete and utter hypocrites, because this channel is based around telling Christian girls of how they should live their lives. And these people are weaponizing not cancel culture, but the Bible, which, to be honest with you, was the original form of cancel culture. So yes, I think these people are hypocrites, and I think they are just scared of progressive movements.
It is true, and it doesn't matter if you're like, well, I just have TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and like I see something and I just go and comment on it. Like, that's what we want to talk about, because I think of a lot of us blindly follow the crowd and we're just like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to say and do. That's what I'm supposed to be against. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to be for. Okay. And then we just start speaking our thoughts, but it's really based off of what is currently like the hot issue of the day. And we want to be accepted. We want to fit in. We want to be liked. So we just blindly go with the crowd, and we're not actually truly thinking as Christian girls what we should be standing for, who we should be living for. And so this is a calling truly to Christian girls, because we have a different like rule, a different book, a different guide.
We have a different authority, a different voice that we are accountable to.
Now, in my personal opinion, using religion as a justification to ignore progressive movements and to ignore the push for equality in the world is complete and utter bollocks. And I think it's also offensive to other Christians out there that genuinely just try to support and uplift other cultures and communities and people. I feel like it's such bollocks that you have actually tried to use Christianity in a way to just dismiss or ignore certain pushes for social justice in the world. I've got a lot of Christians that watch me, and in fact I've got a lot of Christians in my family because, shock horror, I come from quite a Christian family and I am bisexual. I'm not religious. Yes, I have a cross on right now, but I just think it looks cool. I don't actually care about it, but I know for a fact that most of these people, all the Christians that watch my channel, are probably incredibly supportive of me, incredibly supportive of other people. So telling them to basically ignore these pushes for just, I don't know, equality, just for people to be nice to each other, using the Bible, using religion, it leaves a salty taste in my mouth. It seems that you are trying to control people, which basically defeats your entire argument about cancel culture. You're doing the exact same thing, you're just using religion instead of a progressive movement to bolster your points.
So often in our day and age, it's like if you have done one wrong thing according to a certain opinion, you should be done for life and there is no second chance for you. You should lose your job, you should lose like any platform that you have, and it's all according to what is politically correct for this day in a lot of ways. And so we look at that and we say, wow, what a hard burden to carry. Like, it can be so scary. Like, if I do one wrong thing, or maybe you're a part of that saying, yes, you did one wrong thing, out with you forever.
To be honest with you, I genuinely believe that most people in society will see somebody say something bad 10 years ago, and they'll say, yeah, that was 10 years ago, that was a long time ago, they're clearly a better person now. Unless, you know, they're the exact same person, then maybe it's a little bit different, but I think for the most part, you know, if you genuinely try to ruin somebody's life over something they said once, or one bad thing they did ages ago, that is a bad thing. But at the same time, if someone chooses to disassociate with you because of your beliefs, you can't do anything about that. That is nothing new. That is just how life works. People make different opinions, people grow, and people change, and people drift apart. That is just how the world works. And yes, a brand might not want to work with you sometime because of the stupid things, in my opinion, that you put on your YouTube channel. That is just how business works. I have had brands turn me down because of the nature of my videos. That's just how business works. It's not like some crazy... It's just how business works.
Those people who have held the standard and said, this is what you have to live to, one day they will bow the knee and they will know that Jesus is Lord. And talk about true accountability at that point. Like, it doesn't matter what you think about God, that day of reckoning is coming.
Whoa!
See, this is exactly what I'm saying. You're complaining about cancel culture and people using fear into stopping you from saying bad things, but then at the same time, you're also doing the exact same thing with your religion. By weaponizing Christianity, you are telling people you shouldn't do this because the day of reckoning is coming. Do you not see how that's, if not worse? That's like a basic threat. Do you not see how that's worse? I mean, I don't even get your point. You haven't been cancelled. Look at your life. You've got a nice house. You're married. You've probably got healthcare. You've got a massive platform. You've got free, published books. You've got money, freedom. Can you tell me about how this cancel culture thing has ruined your life? You clearly have a really nice life, and I really don't understand. This cancel culture thing really doesn't seem to have affected your life. You have a nice life compared to a lot of people out there. And now I'm not denying your mental struggles, because I get that it can be a little bit upsetting at a lot of times, or very upsetting, but the fact of the matter is you put opinions out there which, you know, on social media a lot of people are going to disagree with. So that's your opinion and people are going to disagree with it. That's just how social media works. If you don't want that, you don't have to post these videos. But the fact of the matter is you have built a platform, you have made money off this platform, and it appears to be your job. So where is this cancel culture? I don't see it. You are still very much thriving and on the side. So to conclude this video, do I think cancel culture is the worst thing in the world? No, I think it's done bad and I think it's good. I'm not trying to be a centrist here, because I am certainly not a centrist, but I feel like that's what I've got to do here, because it's incredibly subjective, it's incredibly situational, and I think you can really only use it on specific situations rather than giving one broad opinion on it. But yes, go to find, you've not been cancelled. Cody Ko, me, we've made videos poking fun at you, but overall, we've not tried to ruin your lives. The fact of the matter is you've put your opinion on the internet, and I've given my counter opinion to that opinion. It's happened to me, it happens to everybody, and that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for coming along. I thought this video may have got a little bit too long, but if you could like this video and comment on this video, let's try and get to 30,000 likes. That would be amazing. If you do, I'll do a part 2 to this in a week or a month or so. And also, please get this video to 3,000 comments, because that's the goal I set in every video. My social media is iNabber69 on Twitter and iNabber on Instagram. I'm going to go ahead and go to bed now. Good night, everybody. Take it easy and peace out.